welcome to episode 9 of Straight Talk, No BS. This is Lendrea.
And it's your girl, Crys.
And today we're going to talk about child support and the rights of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This one here, I'm sure is going to touch him for a lot of people, a lot of females, fathers. It's an interesting topic. I have my viewpoints on it as well. Some people may agree, some may not agree, but with child support, what is your opinion, Crys? Child support is for who? Who, in your opinion, is for? The child, the mother?
In my opinion, I think it's self-explanatory. It's child support. Now, although, I'm a mom, I've never been on child support. I never had the opportunity of receiving any funds from the other person, but I don't really, fully understand. But for me, looking at it, I really honestly do believe that it really is for the child. It's to help with daycare. It's to help with school. Kids need a lot. They need a lot. They need back to school supplies. They need back to school clothes. They grow throughout the year. Dentist appointment, insurance costs money. So that money that you get should go towards those things to help ease the load for the other things, like the groceries,
Right.
Rent.
I agree with you 100%. For child support, for me, my understanding is it is for the support of the child. I think what happens is that sometimes the non-custodial parent, because you have the custodial parent who the child lives with, and then you have the non-custodial parent, and the non-custodial parent most times is the one that pays the child support. I think what happens is that depending on how the relationship ended, depends on, I don't want to say depends on the support that you get. But what I've noticed is that, sometimes if there's a bit of breakup between the parents, then the one that's to pay the child support is typically the bitter one, where they're so focused on being angry at the ex that they lose sight that the support is for the child. Whereas sometimes some gentlemen may not want to pay child support because they're of the opinion that they don't want to be giving the mother money, or they think the mother's using the money for things for herself. But what they fail to realize is that child support, even though you are given X amount of dollars for the support of your child, and let's just say as an example, child support you're giving is $400 a month. What they fail to realize is that, yes, you're giving $400 a month for the needs of your child, but let's just say your child now needs a roof over their head. The custodial parent has got to provide the roof over their head. So they're paying a mortgage or rent. They have to provide running water, heat, food, activities your child may be involved in, whatever it is. All of that costs money. So the misconception is that a lot of the non-custodial parents think that the custodial parents is using the money for themselves. But most times they're not. How could they be? If you really calculate how much the custodial parent pays out, let's look at it. How many times have you heard fathers say, or let's just say fathers say, oh, I'm not giving that B money for child support. She got her nails done. She's getting her nails done. She's getting shopping or whatnot. Well, if your child is being provided for, he's got clean clothes, his backside's washed, he's got a haircut, or her hair is combed, they're doing activities after school. All of that costs money. Activities alone, sometimes depending on the activities, can cost anywhere between $300 to $400 up to $1,000, depending on the activities. Do you really think your child support is covering all of that? No, the custodial parents contribute a lot more than you even think. And what upsets me sometimes when it comes to child support is that I hear so many times men are angry where they don't want to give the support for their child. But don't you want your child to be comfortable? Don't you want your child to be educated? Don't you want them to have a roof over their head, clean clothes? Don't you want them to look nice? If you can walk around looking nice and you got a fresh outfit on.
Not thinking about that.
Right, but don't you want your child to look and reflect the same way as you are? Well, the custodial parent, which is typically the mother at times, they have to do that. So I think for me, see, for myself, I have 2 children. And when my husband and I parted ways, we got divorced. I just wanted full custody of my kids. So when it came to child support or alimony or anything like that, I walked away from everything. For me, once I was told no, he's not giving me any money for child support. And at that time, let's say about 16 years ago, at that time, I only asked for $200 a month for 2 children. And I was told, F off, blah, 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 blah.
Damn, now, that's nothing, Len. Like, I really commend you, because $200 for 2 kids?
Listen,
that's not even groceries.
I know, $200, but I had to make a decision. Do I get angry? Which, granted, I was a little angry for a couple of days, but I had to make a decision. At the end of the day, I refuse to allow myself to be trapped needing somebody. Like I'm not designed like that. I'm not built like that. So for me, the mere fact of me even having to ask you for support for your children is enough to let me know you don't care. So I'm not about to beat a dead horse and focus on child support or I need money or my kids. No.
Right, because you should never have to ask him for nothing. Like, you can't ask a real man.
And that's how I feel. I shouldn't have to beg anybody, especially a partner that I once loved or was married to or laid down with, to help me financially, or even if it's not financially, with my children. If you choose not to help with my children, then I cannot waste time and focus on you on we're going to go to court or I'm not going to do that. And I didn't do that. When you told me no and told me to go about my business, no problem. You know what I did? I had to go cry. I was angry. I was pissed off. I spoke to my dad about it, vented to him about it. By the end of the day, what I had to do, put on my big girl's panties, woman up.
Take care of your business.
I take care of my business. And that's exactly what I did. Some women are not built like that. Some will put the focus on the fathers and try to just make their lives live in hell. But there are truly a lot of women out there that will rather walk away with nothing and just reclaim back their power and raise their kids how they want to be raised, how they want to raise their kids. I was one of those women. And granted, it was many times where, it's difficult being a single parent raising children, but hey, I did it. I refused to kiss anybody's ass. I'm not doing that, because I always felt like once you kiss someone's ass, you're giving them power to give you money when they want to give you money, like they give you hands out or scraps and whatever. I refuse to do that, you know? And for me, it wasn't even a matter like the child support money. For me, it was a matter of just the mere fact that an individual, another human being could be so cold and to just walk away and pretend or act like they don't have another human being, that they weren't part of the making of another human being. That in itself for me was just disappointing. But there are so many fathers out there that can do better. I believe that. I believe that child support doesn't always have to be financially, doesn't have to always be how much money you give the mother. Even if a father doesn't have a job, fathers can help out in other ways. If you know that you have a young baby or you have a toddler or your kids in after school activities, you can help in other ways, which is not financially.
Yeah, you sure can.
You can lessen the burden on the mother by just saying, hey, I don't have this week's child support, or I'm not working, whatever the case may be, but do you mind if I help you out in other areas? Instead of you taking our son or daughter to school, let me be the one to do that. I'll do the carpool and I'll pick them up, take them to school. I'll make sure they get home. I'll do the homework duty. I'll take them every other week to give you a break. I'll do the laundry for you guys. Whatever it is, you can help out in other ways with child. You can help in other ways, which is not necessarily giving child support money to lessen the burden on the custodial parent. And I think that's what angers a lot of women, is that you don't just want to not give money. You also don't even want to help out in just helping with your child's needs. That's what disappoints me a lot when it comes to fathers. You can help it in other ways, not always money. And it's sometimes, you have to Let go of your ego. If things didn't work out in a relationship, whatever the reasons may be, no matter what happened, at the end of the day, your priority should be the needs of your child.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. The needs of the child. And, so for me, the needs of the child should always be priority above your needs. And even if either party moves on, I am a strong believer that even if other parties move on and you get another significant other, or you may have other children, I never agreed with the new partner giving any input when it comes to the raising of you two's child or children. I've never been one of the agreements of that. It's one thing if there's been an absent parent and they have no involvement, but I know for myself, even though things didn't work out between my ex-husband and I, one thing I would never allow is my children to call another man daddy. No matter how much of a jerk off he is, no matter how much we may not have gotten along or don't even speak, at the end of the day, when it comes to things like that, for me, I'm very touchy with that. My children have a father. They don't need to call anybody else father. I'm very strong about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's rightfully so. That makes a lot of sense.
Because you hear so many times where you have men that move on, and when they move on with another woman, they forget they have other children from another relationship. You can't excuse the fact, or any woman that's even with you that even allows you to not support your child, that's not a woman. Because if she could not encourage you to make sure your child's needs are met, and I'm not saying she doesn't need to be playing stepmother, because some women sometimes, when they get involved with the man, all of a sudden they want to play stepmother. They want to step up as if they're the mother to the child. I find even that's disrespectful as well, too. Unless you and that mother have a relationship or you guys are cordial, the mother's title is always the mother's title. They don't need a stepmother, none of that. None of that. I don't agree with that either. If I was with a man and he had children and I knew he had children, I would never, ever try to replace the mother, outdo the mother, or anything like that. It's boundaries. So I think another issue.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing too. Yeah,
it's boundaries. You cannot. If I'm with a man and he has other children, the type of woman I am going to say, "Hey, your kids are straight," or I might give him reminders. "Hey, don't forget Christmas is coming up in December. See what your kids want, so we can kind of include it in the budget. So when we're getting Christmas shopping, you can include in the budget what your children need." See what I'm saying? Or, hey, don't forget your daughter's birthday is coming up this month, or your son's birthday is coming up this month, or, hey, Mother's Day is coming around. I don't know if you want to go take your kids, but go grab your kids up and take them, let them go buy their mother a gift. I'm that type of woman. It doesn't faze me, but the children's needs, they still need to be met. And even though you may not be good with, even though you and the other parents broken up, you still got to show some type of decency around your children. You have to. Like in my case, despite what my ex-husband may think, I don't trash him. It is what it is. Things happen. It didn't work out. We went our separate ways. That's the bottom line. But at the end of the day, he is my children's father. At the end of the day, I'm sure he does love his children, and he does come in their life at times. And I would never stop that. However, I've had my opinions over the years of how he's been absent. But you know what? It's for him to have to earn that himself. It's for him to have to deal with that himself. My children never missed out on anything. They've had a great childhood. I provided to the best of my ability. The way I see it is that what he thought he was doing as far as hurting me by not being there physically or financially for my children, it just made me stronger. Yes, I had to step into a more, I would never say a position of a mother and a father, because I cannot be a father. But I had to take the weight of raising children on my shoulders. which it wasn't easy, but I did it. If I had to do it again, I'll do it again. So I held the animosity towards him. But I just feel that a lot of men, there's a few things going on here. Some men just don't know how to parent. Some men have friends that don't advise them and give them the right advice. Then you have some men that are just don't know how to be mature and just get out of their feelings. And then there's men out there that will take the easy road and don't realize that parenting is hard work. It's hard work. And it's okay to move on with your life and be with someone else, but you have to include your previous children in that equation. You have to. You cannot exist. You cannot pretend like they don't exist and then be there for your next partner, and your next partner may have children, and you're there supporting their children. For me personally, I don't know how a man can do that. I don't know how a man can walk away from his blood children and be with a woman and be there for her children, support her children, have her children call him daddy, and you neglect your children. I don't know how men do that. So many times you would see
it's the woman. It's not the man. It's the woman.
No, right. But the man himself, like for you as a man, how could you lay down at night and know that you're being their supportive parenting to somebody else's child, and you have no idea about your own child? You know how many times men do that? And then women allow it. Like even the woman that's with the man, how could she lay down for me? For me personally, I don't know how a woman can lay down with a man, knowing he has children, knowing he neglects those children, and she's okay with it as long as they're supporting her and her children. I know it's happened for years. I know it always happened. I know that things will never change. But we have to do better, though. We just have to do better. Our children are our legacy.
How about a man who feel like it's the woman's responsibility to take care of the kids? There's some out there who have that actual mentality.
But if that is your mentality as a man, and you feel there's a woman's job to raise the kids, and you don't want to be there, okay, then give her the financial support she needs, and let her go about her business. If you can't be there,
say that from the beginning. Express that from the beginning.
And that goes back to our conversations we had, our episode we had last week.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked about the role of the husband and wife. And what did I say? I said conversations is the biggest thing you have to have before any relationship. And sometimes you can have conversations and still not get the answer you're looking for. People can change their mind, but you have to have those conversations. I didn't have those conversations. If I probably would have had a conversation or some type of insight as to how things will be after marriage, who knows if I would have had a different perception of even getting married? Who knows if I would have married the individual? I don't know. But you have to have those conversations, because so many times you have, and granted, I know there are some men out there that have children that weren't planned. I know that. I know that there are some women out there that deliberately, they intentionally get pregnant for men on purpose, and the man may not know they're either being set up. I know that for a fact as well. I think in those cases, I understand when the men are very angry because that wasn't in the plan. However, you have that obligation to protect yourself and wear a condom and strap up. So you really can't blame the woman, because it was all fun and games when you was all sliding up in their old raw. It was fun and games until now she's pregnant and she's telling you she's keeping her child. So you got to take responsibility for that. You know what I'm saying? You can't put the blame on the woman. Nor can you put the blame on the woman and expect her to have an abortion. You can't expect that, because you knew what the end result would be if you don't protect yourself and have unprotected sex. What can happen? You're an adult. You know what happens. It's a possibility the woman can get pregnant. So if she gets pregnant and you want her to have an abortion and she tells you, no, I'm not doing it, you can't get mad at that. Welcome to being a father. Next time, don't be irresponsible, especially when you know you're sleeping with a woman that's not your girlfriend, that you don't really like, that's just something to do, or she's a jump off. Well, guess what? No, she's pregnant. And that jump off now is your baby mama. It's your baby mama now.
That jump off was good, wasn't it?
Right. So even in that, even in that case, see, it's all about being irresponsible. But then fathers, I know sometimes fathers feel like they're being held hostage when it comes to the child support, where there are a lot of mothers out there that will keep their children away from the fathers unless they get what they want from the father. I know there's a lot of mothers out there that's very petty. I know several of them is very petty. That everything is about money, 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 and everything is about ruining any possible relationships that these men can have with other women, and even vice versa. Men do the same thing as well. But a lot of fathers, which is very alarming, and it could be because, I don't know, it's just they have this misconception of child support, a misconception of their rights. But a lot of fathers have rights that they're not even aware of. So many fathers are afraid to be on child support. Do you know child support is also like a safety for you? I know most men look at it whereas child support is going to ruin me. They're going to take my check. They're going to take all my money. Do you know how much rights fathers really have? But because
no, I have no idea.
Fathers have so many rights that they don't educate themselves to find out what those rights are. You don't have to wait or allow a woman to hold you hostage and threaten you that they can put you in for child support. You can go to the courts yourself and put yourself in for child support. You can go to the courts. When you go to the courts are going to ask for a paternity test. Get the test done, because you know why? It may turn out the child's not even yours. You can also go to the courts and say you want visitation. And you can let the courts know when you're available, and they'll work out a plan, they'll work out a schedule for you to see your child. So many fathers allow themselves or put themselves in positions to be controlled, and they have rights. Grandparents have rights. If a grandparent wants to see their child, they have the right to go to the courts and petition the courts to see their grandchild.
Yep. They sure can.
The parents cannot stop you from seeing your grandchild. You have rights. Fathers have rights as well. If fathers actually acted upon their rights and went to the courts and said, listen, I would like to see my child, but my child's mother will not let me see my child for whatever reasons. Maybe she's pissed off you got a new girlfriend. Maybe she's pissed off you didn't give her any money. Who knows? You dumped her, whatever the reason is. She doesn't have the right to stop you from seeing your child. If you're harming your child or doing things that's making your child uncomfortable, that's one thing. But if you're a pretty decent father and you want to be involved in your child's life, then the mother does not have the right to stop you from seeing your child. You do have rights. You can go to the courts and petition to have visitation to see your child. You can go to the courts and put yourself in for child support. If you lose your job or you lessen your hours, you can go to the courts and let them know my hours are not the same. Can you adjust and modify the child support amount? Do you have the right to do that? Do you know that even if you're not working, you can still put yourself in, or you can still put yourself in child support and pay $25 a month or $25 every week if you want to, just so that you're still paying something? A lot of fathers don't know this information, and they're afraid of the system or afraid of the court system. For what? I don't know. Because it's those who design not just
you know why. But we're scared of the court systems. It's systemic, it's just programmed in us to be afraid of court and jail. Right. Well, even if you go to child support court and they say, okay, it's time for the DNA test. Say, for instance, the father decides to go to child support court and he wants to put himself on child support. What that judge is going to do now is say, okay, we got to go get a warrant now for the mom to come into court to do a DNA test. A warrant for that person to go out.
No, it's not a warrant. It's not a warrant. No, if a father goes to court and says, I want to go to put myself in for child support, they're going to ask him, who's the mother? What's the name of the child? And all the particulars. They're going to give him a petition that has got to get served on the mother. Either he can have the court serve the mother, or he can go to the police station. They will serve the mother and tell her that she has to be to court on this date and time. That's what happens. And then she has to either come to court or she doesn't go to court. I personally suggest all fathers either have the police server or a court official server. That way you know for sure she got served. And that also protects your rights, because what happens is once she's been served and you go to court and she doesn't show up, guess what? she can't turn around and say you're a deadbeat because now you have proof that you took the necessary steps to try to get yourself on for child support. You tried to get visitation and she still refused to come to court. At that point, you've done what you're supposed to do. That's your proof. So when she tries to threaten you again and say, you can't see your child and I want child support money. Okay, no problem. I have no problems paying you child support through the courts. That would eliminate you feeling like you're feeling hostage. Whereas if I didn't give her money, if I didn't give her more money, if I didn't give her this, that, and the other, I can't see my child. That's where it becomes unfair.
Well, it shouldn't even matter. If you have a kid, you should be on, and you don't live with the mother, then go on child support. Pay your child support. Pay the bill, no matter how much it is a month. You got a job, just come out of your paycheck, or you have a certain amount that you have to pay every month. Pay that shit because you don't want to lay down and have that baby.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And it's like, and if you have a good relationship with your child's mother, great. That's kudos. If you both can say, hey, listen, you don't have to worry about giving me child support. You take care of the nursery fees or the activities after school and give me X amount of dollars to help out with whatever, then fine. There are some women out there that make more money than the fathers that may say, hey, listen, don't worry about giving me child support. I just need you to help me with dropping them off to school and picking them up or their activities. Some women are like that. I was like that. Mm-hmm. God bless me with some great women when it came to my children. I didn't have the support base that I hoped I would have had with family because I was living overseas. But God bless me with 4 amazing women and 3 amazing men that, I didn't know they were from Adam, but one of them was named Michelle. She watched my son. Another one was Denise. She had my son when he was in daycare. And and then another lady was Miss Becky. She had both my children, where Michelle had Saquon from when he was born to he was about maybe 1.5, 2 years old. And then Denise had him from like maybe 2 years old to about 4. And then Miss Becky, she was a godsend. Miss Becky used to take my kids to school, plus pick them up, plus help with their homework after school to allow me to be able to work. And then I had Miss Rose. She was my children's nanny. So when I had to work weekends or anything else, she would come to my house, and every one of these women treated my children like they were their grandchildren. So God truly, truly, truly blessed me with like these amazing women. And then as my children got older was when I met 3 gentlemen, one of them Tyrone. My children absolutely adored him. They used to call each other brother and everything. And then I had another friend, Ed, he's a police officer out here. He had my children running the PAL program. They had a lot of activities and whatnot. Another gentleman, Calvin, all 3 of these guys used to come to my children's activities. So they were all football coaches because I used to coach as well with a youth football program for like 7 years. I was helping out there. So I met these 3 guys and they were positive role models for my son and my daughter. So, and then my father was very present before he passed. So I have to say, I'm very, very grateful to have that village around my children, but not everybody has that. So, I feel that fathers, and I don't want to just say on fathers, because there are some mothers out there that are supposed to be paying child support as well, and they don't do it. They don't do it. But, I would also tell any parent out there or any father out there, listen, there's no harm in asking for a paternity test. No harm in asking for it. There's no harm in asking for it. I personally feel that any child support that goes through the courts, a paternity test should be done. There are so many men out there that they are paying child support, have paid child support for the last 18 years or 21 years or 25 years, and come to find out later on, that child's not theirs.
I thought that was mandatory though. Like if you go to child support, if you go to child support, you have to get a DNA test.
I know that from what I understand, if you're married, is not. If I'm not mistaken, if you're married, is not mandatory. If you're unmarried, the courts advise you to get a paternity test. I don't think they can make you. They do ask the father at the time, do you want to get a paternity test? Some men just say, no, I'm the father. Kudos to them. Some say yes. Now, I know another thing, though, is that if you sign that birth certificate, You're automatically the father. So when you're in the hospital, if you have any doubts and she's asked you to sign that birth certificate and you had that little inkling, that little pit in your stomach that something's wrong, get the paternity test while you're there. Just get it done. There's no harm in it. If she's upset with you or she gets angry with you, let her get angry with you. It doesn't matter. At least you know, your family knows, everyone knows that is your child. You know, there's your child. You wouldn't want to get close to a child and then later on, 2-3 years down the road, the child gets yanked from you where it's not yours.
Very true.
Yeah, get it. And it's happened. Listen, I know of women that have had children from men that are married. I know women that have had children and have said individuals are the fathers and they're not. Multiple times. I know, women that deliberately get pregnant for a guy or have gotten pregnant for a gentleman that have money on purpose, I also know women that have multiple children and they're not involved at all in their children's lives. I know some women that, they like the idea of being pregnant, but they don't like the idea of the hard work that comes afterwards. Yeah.
Listen, I remember I dated this guy, very, very young, fresh out of high school, totally a bad decision. Guy that had a previous relationship and he had a kid with that lady, that woman. And I remember I was at his house one day and literally the doorbell rang and he goes to answer the door and it's his baby on the doorstep in a car seat.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
With a note that says, "You got this." Never seen or heard from that mother again.
That's cool.
He sat there and he raised his daughter.
You know what? I commend them because you know why? There are so many men out there that are raising their children by themselves and they don't get credit. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of men out there that are stepping up and being single parents and they are raising their children by themselves without any help. And it's not, they don't get the recognition they deserve. They deserve that recognition. I mean, Frankie had his 2 younger children, and he did a great job in raising them. And his younger ones.
Look, my dad raised me. My dad was a single father. He raised me by himself.
Exactly. It's like they don't get the credit. There are some really decent guys out there that are raising their children by themselves. And they go to work every day and they're putting in long hours and they're raising their children, they're educating them, and they don't get the recognition or the credit. Nobody really talks about them, and they should talk about them. They should talk about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they should, because we always talk so much about single mothers and single dads out there too. Mm-hmm. Single dads out there.
Or not even just single dads, but dads in general. Like, men that are out there that want to pay child support, but not even have to be on child support by the court system. They're just giving you money every month for your kid. Whatever money you need, buying them this, taking care of them for school, putting them in private school and paying that private school fee every month without being on child support. Like, kudos to those dads that's out there doing what they think needs to be done to be there for their kids.
They're not recognized how they should be. Because it's like society focuses so much on the deadbeat dads. You have women screaming on mountaintops about the deadbeat dads and this and that and this. But what about the dads that are out there that really, like you said, busting their asses, doing the right thing, trying to do the right thing? Then no matter how hard they try, they're just being slammed, or the mothers are giving no credit, or they're just taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great dads out there that's doing their job. Doing what they're supposed to. They want to be parents. They love their kids. They want to be present and involved in their child's lives. And then you have those mothers that will do everything in their power as long as they see that man happy to make his life miserable. That happens a lot too. That happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then I would like to mothers don't take it out on the kids just because they look like their daddies. Or they like their fathers, or they like hanging out with their fathers on the weekends, or wherever time they go. Don't take it out on them. It's not their fault. They're kids.
Yeah. They're
children.
I agree. And I also feel that even though we may have our feelings about, our exes or whatnot, try not to trash the other person, the other parent in front of the kids. I know sometimes you just get angry and then maybe a slip up every so often. It's bad enough that your child children see and hear more than you give them credit for. They know what's going on. They don't need to now know that there's tension between the mother and the father. I've always been against that. As my children got older and they would ask me questions about why, I'm not with their father, I would give them in the beginning little spoonfuls of little information, nothing negative, always very truthful. Until they got older, they knew the truth. My son always knew the truth. My daughter was the baby. But you give them little spoonfuls, but my children, one thing I've always said to my children, in the same way, and I picked this up from my father. My father used to always say to me, and I used to be angry at my mother, he used to always say to me, that's your mother. You got to respect your mother. Always say that to me. Mm-hmm. I find myself with my children saying the exact same thing. Listen, your father's your father. That's your father. You got to respect your father. I always say that. And they're older now, so now they can make their own opinions to do whatever they want to do. I'm just here now just to kind of give a little guidance when guidance is needed. Otherwise than that, they are the young adults. But we have to stop that as well. We got to stop the bashing. We have to do better. We really have to do better. If you want your children to do better, it starts from you, man. It starts from you. The fathers have to do better. The mothers have to do better. Don't you want your children to thrive? You got to do better.
That's right.
Not amount of money, because child support is only limited. You're going to hold on to child support to what? 21, if that, 18, 21, or until you listen. I believe it's up until 18. If the student in school is 18, if they have a child, then you don't have to pay child support anymore. So to the fathers out there, if any of your children, they are parents themselves, you no longer have to pay child support. And if they're not in school, I believe you no longer have to pay as well either. So I want to say to fathers, just educate yourselves. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't believe your homeboys all the time. When your homeboys say that nonsense about, nah, dude, she's taking the child support, you can be broke. Don't believe all of that either. Sometimes peace of mind is worth more than be running. Don't be running. Don't run. See, what happens is that men have this, you got your boys in your ears. You got generations of crap in your ears. Everyone telling you child support is a bad thing, is negative. Listen, it's not always negative. You may not want to pay the money, but you lay it down and had your child. That's the bottom line. If you can't afford to pay the child support a month they want you to pay, then you can ask the courts, Your Honor, I can't afford to pay this, but I will agree, if the mother allows, that I would take responsibility of taking the child to school, picking them up, doing homework, taking them every other weekend. You have that right to say that as a compromise.
Yeah, you can set your own terms too.
Right. Speak up and stop running and being so afraid.
But just know that whoever that child lives with, though, is going to get the upper hand. Yeah, bottom line.
Right. The custodial parent is the one that's actually providing for the child. So the custodial parent is the one that really takes the bulk of the financial hardship. Now, I know the man may look at it whereas, well, that's not my problem. Well, you know what it is? Because you know why? If you're treating the mother like shit and you're giving her a hard time and not paying child support and not trying to help out, not trying to be included in your child's life, and you're not trying to do anything besides just lay it and make her life a living hell, well, guess what? If you keep her stressed out, who do you think is going to get the effects of her being stressed out? Your child. So all of this, I'm trying to get back at the mother, and I'm trying to make the mother feel or pay her or get her back. All that tit for tat, it doesn't make sense. Because you're tit for tat and your bitterness and you're being upset and you're trying to get back at the mother and trying to make her life a living hell and not give child support or try to help out the child. Dude, you have a child. Your child is the one that's going to suffer. If the mother's not able to provide for your child because you're trying to make her life a living hell, or you're trying to, I guess, show her something, for what?
Well, vice versa. The same thing with the woman.
Exactly.
Right, because it's usually, majority is the women that's doing this to the men. That's why the men are so afraid of child support, because the women threaten them with it so much
Well,
that they're just used to it being just a negative tone when said.
I agree. I know some women know that if they use the word child support, most men buckle and they crumble and they get afraid.
Exactly.
What these men need to do is stop being afraid
and educate
go
themselves.
Online, Google it, ask questions, go to the courts, ask and find out what's your rights and stop being afraid. You're being afraid for what? Because all you're doing is giving your power away, especially to the men that really want to be involved in their child's lives, and they're hitting this wall because the woman's making their lives a living hell. Listen, don't allow her to make your life a living hell. You have every right to go to the courts and ask for visitation and ask to put yourself on child support. You can do that. You have every right to do that.
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid of paying the money. I don't think it's so much of going in child support. Like the men that I know that had to be put on child support or that was threatened with child support, their concern was having someone control their money.
Okay, well,
they're comfortable with paying out of pocket. Oh, you tell me how much you want a month. Let me pay you. If I got it, I got it. If I don't, I don't. But let's communicate, right? I've seen that work. I've seen that in a more comfortable environment. I personally don't really believe that the court system should really be involved in your financial status of you raising your kids. I believe that if you lay down with somebody, you as an adult, as a grown up, y'all both should be able to make those decisions together. Why do you have to bring the government into your household to tell you and to control how much you got to give your kid a month? You can only go see him on the weekends. You can't see him throughout the week. Or you can only go to that school. He can't go to this school because it was discussed in court. Like, that is just too much for me. Like, you have to be able to sit down with your partner, woman up, put your ego aside for the sake of your child, man up, put your ego aside for the sake of your child, and have a proper conversation. And if you need to have a mediator involved, then find one. Grandparents, friends, therapists, counselors, people, they get so uptight about the word therapist. It's like, no, there's counselors help you mediate as well without having to go to court.
No, it's right. But the courts themselves, they also provide mediators. But, at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's the system in your business. You know what I'm saying?
That's how I look at it. Children need structure. In order for children to have structure, right? In order for children to have structure, there has to be a plan in place for there to be structure. If both parents can get along and they have a routine and the child's able to maneuver through the routine with no hiccups, great. Kudos. However, if both parents cannot communicate and they're always butting heads and they're not there yet, unfortunately, the courts have to get involved. The courts are not getting involved because they want to be in your business. The courts are getting involved because both parties cannot get along. So because
the courts don't have to be involved, though, Len. I disagree with that. The courts, you can go to grandparents. There's people that have mediators that say, okay, my mom's gonna bring him to you on this day, and so you have to figure it out. There's people that work those things out.
Me personally, if you can't get along with the other parent, you have to get the courts involved. You have to. If you don't get the courts involved and you're already struggling communicating with the other parent, when that day comes and you move on with your life, say you get remarried or you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, what do you think is going to happen? That same bitter person that's giving you a hard time as it is, not being reliable with the child support, not being reliable with their time with your child, and here you are having a glimpse of being able to be happy. You can't be happy because you have this now person interfering and whatnot. The courts are there to make things structured. It's for the child. If that means that's
why I said to man up, to woman up, and sit down and had the kind of, if you could not do that though, if that is not the case, if you're in that toxic environment and nobody can figure this out, you called your mama, your daddy, his mama, her dad. If you cannot figure it out on your own, then yes, unfortunately, you'd have to go to the system, to the courts to help you figure it out. But it's not so much of them helping you figure it out. It's them mandating it for you. It's them telling you, no, even if the woman go there to put him on child support, she can go there and be like, nah, you want to get $100 a month. Then what? He was giving you $400 a month before. Now you get 100 now.
See, I think you might be looking at it the wrong way. I think it has to do with peace of mind.
No, I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it the wrong way. What I'm saying is, I personally feel like when you involve the court and the government into your home, that's a lifelong thing. It's not something that goes away, because that document, that file in the system can follow that man or that woman or that child the rest of their lives. Is what I'm saying. Having the government come in your house and control you and tell you how much you got to get, when you got to see your kid, it's peace of mind to some people. It's peace of mind for a moment, but it's them in your business for a lifetime. That's what I'm saying.
No.
And I feel like grown-ups who make grown-up decisions by laying down to have the kid. See, I'm talking about me personally, because I decided to raise my kid on my own, not to go hunt this man down and find him and go through the system with him. I decided not to do any of that. Nor have I ever bashed him or talked down to him to my kid. Right? But my situation is, if that man came around and said, yo, I'm not going to be like, no, where the hell you been for the last 13 years? No, because I'm a mature woman. I'm going to be like, okay, yeah. What you want to do? What can you do? Let's sit down and meet up. Let's figure this out together. Two grown-ups coming together. However long it took him to mature up and figure it out, that's on him. That's on me to also having to hold it down too. That's also on me, because I decided to grow up and handle my business in that moment, and to put all my feelings and bullshit aside for the benefit of my kid and my child. Because sometimes dealing with all that drama though, Len, of the child support and coming home to your kid and coming home to your family, you can't just change that face immediately. You can't just take that pain off immediately. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your kid, whether you try to or not. So sometimes not dealing with it is way better, much more peace than dealing with it.
No, and I agree with some of what you say. I know for myself, my situation, I just walked away. I don't need that money. I don't need child support. I don't need anything. I'm out.
That's it. I'm out. Right.
That's a decision I chose. And then when he started acting crazy, and when he started acting this way and that way and this way, in order for me to protect myself and my children, I was grateful the courts were there. I was grateful the courts were there to give me orders of protections and restraining orders and go to court and everything. Because at that moment right there, he chose to put the government in our business by his actions. Now, I'm not prepared at that point to involve anyone else, to ask anybody for assistance. I'm not asking my family. I'm not asking no cousins, nobody, because you know why? At this point now, you're choosing to behave in a certain manner. And if that means I have to now seek safety in the courts, for the courts to protect me from you, the father of my children, my ex-husband, then you put me in that situation. I command any woman or man. If peace of mind means you have to protect yourself, where you don't want to deal with the aggravation, but you need the financial assistance.
Absolutely.
Then yes, go that way. Go ask for child support. Whatever the courts, for me, whatever the courts give or grant, that has nothing to do with the money value. A lot of people that's in court for child support, it has nothing to do with the amount of the money, you know. They're in child support because they don't want to deal with the individual having to constantly keep resurfacing in their life, keep popping up every 5 minutes, keep popping up saying, I want to see my kid now and see my kid this. No. And I'm speaking from experience. When I went through my divorce, I said to the judge, my ex-husband can see the kids whenever he wants. I have no problems with that. And then I said, the only thing I ask is that they're in school and I have a routine. So if he wants to have them or see them, he can see them. I have them every other weekend, every Tuesday and every Thursday. And he can have them 1 month out of the summer, and I'll take them the other month so we can share it. We'll be 50-50, right? He told the judge, absolutely no, he's not letting no cracker tell him how when he can't see his kids. He wants to be able to come and see his kids when he wants to see his kids and just pop up at my house, knock on the door. Now that's the problem right there. You cannot do that. When a relationship is over, you cannot have just liberal visitation like that unless both parties agree. That's how they like it.
Not.
Right.
Absolutely
but
not.
If you're willing, right, but if you're finished, in order for you to be able to move on successfully and raise your kids and start to have a life independent of that person, they need order. You can't control that. I'm not in the position and even trying to control saying to him, okay, when do you want to see him? I cannot allow someone to come at that time and say, hey, let me see my kids. I'm taking them to get pizza. Well, you can't because she's got gymnastics. He's got, football. I've got this. See what I'm saying? So that's the only reason why the court's here.
That's what I'm saying, Len. I'm sorry to say, but at that time, your husband didn't seem like a mature, responsible man to say that to the judge in court. Is what I'm saying. Like that was a very immature comment to make. Correct. So of course you need to have the court involved because you're not getting through to him by yourself.
Right, but my point is that so when you made a statement to say how have a conversation, have the grandparents pick them up and everything, I feel that if I lay it down with you and you and I had this child, that's you and I's responsibility. And that means at that point there, that if you choose not to be involved, then you made that choice. I'm not going to run after you. I'm not going to hunt you down. I'm not going to beg you to support my kids. I'm not going to beg you to do anything because you made that choice. You have to give it that. You have to give it that. My responsibility is my children. I'm going to raise my children how I see fit. And whenever you bring any BS towards me, I am not about to stress out, arguing with you, running after you, crying. I'm not doing it. So in order for me to have my peace of mind, guess what? If the courts are there to keep me safe and my kids safe, away from you or even anybody in their relationships, if they know they're in a toxic, volatile, narcissistic relationship and the person has a dark side of them, I advise anybody, woman or man, go to the courts and let the courts set it out in stone. You know why? You need to have some type of peace in your life. You can't go 18 years battling with the same stuff over and over and over. And that's what happens. People are so busy trying to what they call do the right thing or keep the courts out of their lives. But to what fault does it happen? Because at the end of the day, you're stuck arguing with this lunatic that has no common sense or has no reasoning in him. Every time you want to move on or do something with your kids, here comes this lunatic, male or female, creating more problems and more problems and more problems. In order for you to have peace, then you can say, hey, listen, this is your weekend, here's the kids. To avoid that. And it's unfortunate that it has to be like that, but that's amongst all races. It's unfortunate, but it's because people can't communicate and they can't get along is why it's in place. It's why it's in place. I wish people can communicate and be able to be kumbaya and raise their kids collectively. Unfortunately, I would say at least 60 to 70% of relationships apart, they can't do it. They can't. So this was an interesting topic for today.
Yes, it was. It was. Yeah. But, I would like everyone out there who's listened to the episode to share your comments. I would love to hear from you guys, like what you guys think about what Len and I spoke about today. Let us know what you guys think about our topic. Share some of your experiences. Drop those comments below. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Google, Amazon Podcasts. We're on YouTube, Straight Talk No BS. Like, share, and subscribe. We have a lot of fun stuff coming for you guys on our website coming soon. Stay tuned for all of our events. And we'll see you guys right here, same place, same time next week.
Bye. Thank you for listening.